As you join, we'd love to have you share your name, your state, and your title in the chat to get a sense of who's in the room today. If you don't know where the chat is, hi, Kent. Bottom of the Zoom window should be middle left next to the participant list. Oh, great. California, Louisiana, Michigan, Mexico, Wisconsin. Great. Okay, so quick logistics before we dive in. The first part of today's session is going to be recorded, so that's why you would have heard this meeting's being recorded when you joined. There's the recording and the companion resource developed for this will be posted to the STAR website after the session, and we'll be sending a follow-up with those links. Here's how the next hour is going to go. We'll spend the first part grounding ourselves in what strong cross-agency data partnerships look like, just like the building blocks. I'll walk through that portion, and it's the only part of today's session that's going to be recorded. So I'll then prompt our team to stop the recording, and then I'll pass it off to our state learning partner who's joined us today to share their experience. And then we'll open it up for conversation and peer exchange, and I think we're all looking forward to that. A note on format. Aside from this initial portion where I'll be talking quite a bit, this is meant to feel more like a practitioner conversation than a webinar. So there's a chat open throughout. Use it to react, to ask questions, or flag things that you want to come back to when we get to the discussion portion. Thank you all for sharing who's in the room. Thank you. So I'll kick us off with a quick intro. I'm Sam Vance from Mathematica Policy Research and the State and Tribal Technical Assistance and Resources, STAR, hi Damon, project team, which supports OFA's TANF initiatives. I lead our program integrity work, really thinking about how to help states track and understand their non-assisted spending specifically so they can make informed decisions for the families that they serve. And we want to thank our partners at OFA for making time to welcome all of you. Janelle, I'll hand it over to you, and then we'll give you the rest of your day back.
Okay. Hello, all. Thank you, Sam. Thank you all for joining. As Sam said, I'm Janelle Jones. I work in the Office of Family Assistance, OFA. Specifically, I work within the TASI branch, which is the TANF Technical Assistance and Special Initiatives, which I'm also joined by my colleague, Damon Waters. We oversee the STAR project, and I'm glad to see you all here today. As many of you likely know, Government Accountability Office, GAO, had a report, and the findings within that from the past year have highlighted how states are navigating real challenges in using data on TANF non-assistance services, and that peer learning is one of the most requested forms of support. This series is a direct response to that. So thank you all again today for your participation in this. It's an opportunity to hear from states that are doing meaningful work in the space and to learn from one another in a low barrier, practitioner focused setting. Program integrity is a priority for OFA, and we're committed to supporting states and strengthening their practices. OFA and the STAR team are glad to have you all here today. Now, I'll turn it back over to Sam so we can get started and dig right in. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Janelle. Okay, so I will thank you for that grounding, the background. And I'll set the stage a little more for why we're talking about this. Right, so TANF non-assistance funds, they flow through a whole ecosystem of partners. Many of you likely know and experience across workforce boards, EMT or employment and training contractors, community organizations, each doing really important work with real participants. But the data about that service delivery often lives in completely separate systems with no connection to one another. And the result, again, I think this might resonate with folks, is that the TANF agency has eligibility data, workforce boards have training or access to employment data, and then your service providers have outcome data, and none of the streams talk to each other. And that makes it really hard to assess provider performances and identify service gaps or connect spending to participant outcomes. And as Janelle mentioned, GAO has named this directly as a core program integrity challenge. The idea that states that lack infrastructure are limited in their ability to oversee non-assistance spending and connect it to outcomes. Not just like an operational headache, it's a stewardship issue, if you will. So the good news is that there are states, we have one here today and probably many on the call, that are finding ways to solve this. And it doesn't require building a perfect system from scratch. It just starts really with the right relationships and the right agreements and then grows from there. And so that's what we will dig into today. So this slide is like the 30,000-foot view. It's 4 components that tend to show up in states with strong cross-agency data partnerships. And a quick note on this before we dig in, this is not a checklist. It's not comprehensive. It's not intended to be completed in order or all or nothing. Most states have something in each of these areas. And the question is really just whether it's formal enough, consistent enough, and connected enough to actually drive decisions. So just keep that in mind as we walk through it. So we'll go through each now in just a little bit more depth. Step 1, right, we're talking about cross-agency data partnerships, and the first part of that is having data sharing agreements. I'm familiar. A data sharing agreement is just like an agreement between 2 bodies that helps establish what information and data gets shared, at what frequency, under what conditions, and with what safeguards. Again, it doesn't have to be comprehensive on day one. It just needs to exist. Formal structures, and this will be like a theme, formal structures are easier to expand than informal ones. So having a handshake agreement that works as long as the people who made that agreement are still in their seats. But a written agreement, it survives turnover. Like the existence of the written agreement can be like an impetus to bring it up and expand on it. Some states make it standard practice to actually formalize all data exchanges, regardless of partner, just to kind of set that from the beginning, like normalize it from the start to help reduce friction and stop it from feeling like a sign of distrust when it ultimately comes up. The next piece is thinking about like a meeting cadence around actually like interpreting this data, right? You have this agreement, you're getting this data, making sense of it. The data systems themselves, they don't produce insight, the people do. So structured recurring touch points create space to interpret data together, surface gaps, make decisions. And this part here, thinking about like frequency should match function. But that we just mean like, think about like the goals and objectives of these different touch points and how you want to use them to interpret or extract insights from the data. And if it's really like near term, kind of like in the weeds problem solving, having those more like frequent operational calls where more like long-term spending decisions or policy discussions, maybe less frequent work groups for some of those longer term needs, and keeping them separate or avoiding the all-purpose meeting trap, mixing operational and policy conversations or near-term in the weeds problem solving and longer-term decisions. I think we've all been in some of those meetings. Often feels unfocused. They don't feel super productive. And our state learning partner today has a really strong example of this done well. So we'll get to hear from them exactly what they've built in a little bit. Great. So thinking about kind of the next piece, you have this data, you have your meetings to extract insights, to see actually what's the data telling us. But data also has its limitations. Data captures what it's designed to capture. But frontline providers, staff like closer to the work, they often know things that never enter a database. Shifts in participant circumstances, service gaps, cost pressures affecting capacity, any number of things. And building in those explicit feedback opportunities, regular forums, this helps give administrators a fuller picture than just the data alone. This distinction matters, kind of like the formal process. A lot of times I think this piece gets kind of relegated to, like encourage supervisors to gather input from staff. The informal check-ins really depend on relationships and like whatever trust exists there, where more formalized forums like a quarterly convening or something builds institutional knowledge. It builds that like capacity and expectation, and it doesn't depend on any one person's relationship or network. And then lastly, like bringing it all together, using all of this data and feedback to make decisions, and documenting it. So the measure of success is really whether the data and insights that you've been able to like extract and receive, if they actually shape program choices and ideally improve program delivery and outcomes. Across agency data partnerships only working if it changes what you do. And let's say all of this happens, you have your data sharing agreement, you've interpreted the data, you've gotten additional feedback from the front line to get this full picture. You've used all of that and you've made an informed decision that you're really excited about. Documenting that connection is really important. When data and partner input, they inform this decision, writing it down helps build that internal accountability and creates a learning record for other staff. It also serves multiple audiences. Having a decision trail, it demonstrates stewardship to oversight bodies, it builds the case for infrastructure investment, and it helps other administrators learn, which I know we're all interested in. So these are the building blocks, again, really high level. We'll now get a chance to see what this looks like in practice. But for any of our on-demand viewers, you can also visit the Program Integrity Office Hours webpage on the STAR or Peer TA website to view the companion product for this session, which also includes a state and focus case study. Thank you. Welcome to the recap and takeaways for session 1 of the Program Integrity Office Hours series, building a cross-agency data infrastructure that shapes program decisions. To support open discussion among state peers, the state presentation and peer discussion portions of the session are not recorded. This recap provides a brief summary of the case study along with key points raised during the peer discussion. Recaps like this one will be posted for each session and will follow the recorded introduction to support individuals who were unable to attend live or who would like to revisit the information. Following the recap, this recording will also highlight the session's companion resource, which captures key information, reference materials, and practical tools. Staff from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services shared how they developed a cross-agency data infrastructure over time, beginning with a compliance challenge and progressing toward a more coordinated system designed to support TANF program administration and participant outcomes. Strong program integrity depends on effective collaboration, and Michigan's experience demonstrates how coordinated efforts can strengthen service delivery and program operations over time. Their work began with several operational challenges. Work participation rate performance was under pressure, due in part to low retention among TANF participants, increasing the risk of potential penalties. In addition, human services and workforce agencies were not meeting regularly, which limited coordination across systems and reduced alignment of supportive services for participants. Differences in workforce participation requirements and inconsistent communication among partners also created challenges for delivering a more coordinated service experience. To address these issues, Michigan moved from informal coordination to a more structured and intentional approach. Leadership engagement supported collaboration across agencies and helped establish a shared focus on improving service delivery and participation outcomes. Data sharing agreements, regular communication practices, and ongoing relationship building among partners supported more consistent information sharing, improved coordination, and strengthened continuity in service delivery. Over time, these efforts contributed to more coordinated and responsive supports for TANF participants. Workforce participation services were adjusted based on participant feedback, including expanded vehicle repair assistance for eligible individuals experiencing transportation barriers to employment. Together, these changes supported improved program operations and demonstrated the value of coordinated and accountable service delivery practices. During the peer discussion, attendees were invited to reflect on the current state of cross-agency data coordination within their own agencies, including what processes and structures are in place, how well they are functioning, and what barriers exist to strengthening or formalizing partnerships. One recurring theme focused on collaboration practices. Participants shared that regular meetings between workforce agencies and human services offices helped improve coordination, despite initial concerns about increased workload. Including policy staff in these discussions also helped address implementation questions earlier in the process and reduce confusion across partners. Feedback loops also emerged as a major topic of discussion. Michigan shared examples of surveying employment and training participants directly, while another participant discussed challenges related to real-time communication between TANF and child support agencies. These conversations highlighted how stronger information sharing practices can help reduce barriers for families and improve service delivery. Attendees also noted that effective coordination often requires more than having a data sharing agreement in place. Another key discussion area focused on the adequacy of data sharing agreements, or DSAs. Participants discussed the importance of ensuring that agreements not only exist, but also include the appropriate partners, identifying the necessary data elements, and support the level of coordination needed across agencies. The discussion also highlighted that evaluating DSA adequacy often begins with identifying what data agencies need for decision-making and service coordination. Attendees noted that reviewing data dictionaries with frontline staff can serve as a practical starting point. A data dictionary is a centralized reference that defines data elements within an information system. Reviewing these materials with staff involved in service delivery can help agencies identify what information should be captured, shared, and tracked before formalizing or updating agreements. For agencies interested in exploring this work further, the AISP Network Toolkit included in the companion product's Learn More section provides practical resources related to data governance, legal frameworks, and agreement templates that support cross-agency coordination efforts. Across the discussion, a consistent theme emerged: formalizing agreements, strengthening communication practices, creating feedback loops, and documenting how data informs decision-making are all important components of strong program administration. These efforts help agencies build visibility, accountability, and a stronger foundation for demonstrating how TANF funds support program goals and service delivery outcomes. This discussion also connects directly to the companion product developed for this session, which was designed to help agencies continue this work within their own programs and systems. The companion product for this session is a 3-page resource developed to complement the live office hours session and serve as a standalone resource for agencies and partners. The resource goes beyond a checklist of next steps and includes research and findings from the U.S. Government Accountability Office, or GAO, related to the topic, examples of strong cross-agency data partnerships in practice, the Michigan case study, and a self-assessment tool designed to help agencies identify their current capacity and potential next steps. The resource is available on the State and Tribal Technical Assistance and Resources, or STAR, Program Integrity Office Hours resource page at prta.acf.hhs.gov. Individuals who shared their email address through the Program Integrity Office Hours interest form will also receive the resource as part of the Session 1 follow-up communication. Those who have not yet shared their email address are encouraged to do so in order to receive companion products and materials for future sessions. The following section provides an overview of the resource and its key components. The first two sections of the companion product reflect content covered in the recorded introduction. The Why It Matters section highlights the GAO findings and policy context that frame cross-agency data partnerships as a program integrity priority. The What Strong Partnerships Look Like section summarizes 4 key practices discussed during the session: formalizing agreements, creating opportunities for partner feedback, establishing consistent communication practices, and using data to inform decision-making. Each companion product in this series will include these 2 sections to provide both the policy context and examples of promising practices discussed throughout the session. The third section focuses on the Michigan case study and presents the information from the session recap in a format designed for ongoing reference and knowledge sharing. The section outlines how Michigan addressed a work participation rate challenge beginning around 2010 and developed a more formalized cross-agency data infrastructure over time. Examples highlighted in the resource include updated data sharing agreements, regular data synchronization between eligibility and employment systems, recurring operational meetings between the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, coordination through the Michigan Poverty Task Force, and structured opportunities for local workforce agencies to communicate service needs with state leadership. The section also highlights both the short and long-term outcomes associated with these efforts. A key takeaway emphasized throughout the case study is that compliance challenges can serve as an opportunity to strengthen cross-agency coordination and data infrastructure. The discussion also reinforces that agencies may identify similar opportunities during system updates, organizational changes, new partnerships, or shifts in leadership priorities. The fourth section of the companion product focuses on a practical self-assessment tool designed to help agencies identify where they are in the process of building cross-agency data partnerships and determine potential next steps. The self-assessment is organized into 5 stages and uses a series of yes or no questions to guide agencies through the process. The stages begin with identifying what data is needed and which agencies or partners maintain that information. The tool then moves through establishing formal data sharing agreements, developing consistent communication practices, creating feedback channels to strengthen coordination, and using data and partner input to help inform program and budget decisions. The tool is designed to support both individual reflection and team-based discussion. Agencies may use the question to facilitate conversations with internal staff or partner agencies and to assess current strengths, gaps, and opportunities for continued coordination and improvement. The final section includes a curated resource table organized into 2 columns. The first column highlights GAO reports that support the program integrity framing discussed throughout the session. The second column includes practitioner resources, such as toolkits, frameworks, and implementation guides, organized to align with the stages of the self-assessment tool. For agencies in the early stages of developing cross-agency data partnerships, the Actionable Intelligence for Social Policy, or AISP, Network Toolkit provides practical guidance related to data governance and legal frameworks, including considerations related to data sharing agreements and coordination practices. For agencies further along in this work, the MDRC Toolkit on unemployment insurance wage data offers additional guidance on using data to support program decision making and evaluation efforts. The GAO reports included in this resource table also provide additional context regarding common challenges identified across TANF programs and reinforce the importance of cross-agency coordination and data-informed program administration. The companion product is available on the STAR website at prta.acf.hhs.gov. tanf.hhs.gov. That concludes session 1. Thank you for joining us, whether you attended the live session or are viewing this recording afterward. The TANF Program Integrity Office Hours series was developed to support state and tribal TANF agencies through peer learning, practical resources, and targeted technical assistance. Program integrity continues to receive significant attention across the federal landscape, including from the U.S. Government Accountability Office, Congress, and the Administration for Children and Families. For many agencies, strengthening program integrity while also supporting effective service delivery requires not only an understanding of requirements, but also access to practical tools, peer examples, and implementation support. Session 2 through 4 of this series will build on the topics introduced in this session. Session 2, scheduled for June 18th, will focus on provider contracts and how contract structures can support data collection, performance standards, and accountability for TANF-funded services. The July session will focus on strengthening TANF spending oversight capacity, including approaches for monitoring and documenting non-assistance expenditures. In August, the series will focus on data-informed program decision-making and how agencies can use data to support program and budget decisions. Each session responds to priority areas related to TANF program integrity identified by GAO and ACF. Each session also includes a recorded introduction, a state case study, and a companion product designed to support continued learning and implementation efforts. The State and Tribal Technical Assistance and Resources Team, or STAR, is available to support agencies through resource sharing, technical assistance, and implementation support for TANF program integrity efforts. To attend future sessions, request individualized technical assistance, or explore available resources, visit peerta.acf.hhs.gov or contact us at starinfo@blhtech.com. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you for session 2 on June 18th.